Okay. Again, my name is Tina Hills. I am the admission counselor for our Master of Science in Occupational Therapy program here at Massachusetts College of Pharmacy and Health Sciences. I always love that mouthful when I'm trying to introduce myself. So MCPHS for short. Tonight's information session, everyone, looks like we're going to get started. Some people can still be joining us. And then just to let everyone know that we are recording this session. And if you miss anything or need to log out, you can feel free to log back in, or I can certainly send you a link to the recording after this. So I want to get started with some introductions, and thank you again for joining us tonight. I'm going to first introduce Professor Dowling.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome. My name is Michelle Dowling. I teach on the Worcester campus. I've been an occupational therapist since 1991. I know, Stone Ages, but I'm fortunate to bring forth all the information that I have as a clinician to your classroom in Worcester. So I look forward to chatting with you all tonight and hopefully meeting you all in the fall.
Absolutely. I'm going to introduce Maura next. Maura, let us
Hi,
know.
everyone. Yes.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Maura Abernathy. I am a current second-year student on the Manchester campus. I am from Methuen, Massachusetts, and I completed my undergrad at MCPHS, and I just graduated last May with my health psych degree.
Perfect. Great. I'm going to go to Sawyer. Thanks for helping out tonight, Sawyer.
Hey everyone, my name is Sawyer Storsley. I am a first-year student on the Manchester campus, and I am from Washington State.
Great. Where did you do your undergrad in Washington State as well?
Yeah, Pacific Lutheran University.
Great. Colleen.
Hi, everyone. I am Colleen McGinnis. I'm a first-year student on the Worcester campus. I'm originally from Fairfield, Connecticut, and I completed my undergrad at Stonehill College in Easton, Massachusetts.
Great. Ilis.
Hello, everyone. My name is Ilis O'Brien. I'm a fourth-year student on the Manchester campus, and I'm originally from Kansas City, Missouri, but I moved up here a couple years ago when I did my undergrad at SNHU.
Great. Thank you for joining us. Well, we're excited to share more information about the School of Occupational Therapy. Tonight's information session, you are going to learn more about the program, some admission information on how to apply and requirements, and we will have a Q&A at the end of the session to cover any additional questions you might have. You can also put them in the Q&A box. I will do my best to answer them. If not, Professor Dowling, if I'm not speaking, usually chimes in for us. So between the two of us, we'll get your questions answered. So I'm going to share my screen, and hopefully with technology, this will work. Give me one moment. Can everyone see my screen? Great. Let's get started. First of all, congratulations on your decision to pursue your career in healthcare. It's a great field to get into right now, very high demand. You know, as a future OT applicant, you probably know with the aging population, the demand is expected to increase, strong projected job growth, higher right now compared to other health professions. And one of the things we're most proud of is our job placements after graduation. And we'll talk a little bit more about that later on tonight. Occupational therapy is actually ranked among the top 4 healthcare careers. And, you know, we're really excited about that. And I think our program reflects that and preparing our students. It is an investment in time and money, but with a degree from MCPHS, you will get that ROI, that return on your investment. And we feel really strongly about that. And you'll hear from, again, some of our students tonight about that. So a little bit about MCPHS, for those that don't know, we are a healthcare specific university. That's all we do. So we know the healthcare industry, we know the trends, A lot of our faculty are practicing clinicians in their fields. We have 100 different programs in various fields. We have over 7,000 students between our Boston campus, our Worcester campus, our Manchester, New Hampshire campus, and we have programs online. And we just celebrated our 200th anniversary, so we're really excited about that. We're the oldest pharmacy school in the country. And then we branched out in our life sciences, and we have really comprehensive healthcare programs. So being an active provider, our faculties they're up to date. They're bringing healthcare system and new treatments back to you, the students. We like to say clinic in the classroom, classroom in the clinic. So you are getting that hands-on experience, and what you're applying in your labs, you are then applying in your clinical rotations, and then what you're learning in the classroom. So we're really proud of that. Some of our well-known sites that we have our clinical rotations are, you have Elliott Hospital in New Hampshire, you have Catholic Medical Center, St. Vincent's, UMass Memorial, and Compass Rehab, and that's just to name a few. We also have Newton Wellesley towards Boston, and our Boston campus is actually located in Longwood Medical, which is a leader in the healthcare industry. So many, many more. There we go. Sorry, my computer's a little slow. So before we dive into the details of the OT program, I want to talk a little bit about the services and opportunities available to you as a student if you were to come to MCPHS. It is a very hands-on school. It is very hands-on on the services we provide, a lot of networking opportunities. I'm going to talk a little bit about, and then I'm going to share our students are going to share a little bit more about what we call interprofessional education, or IPE. This is one of the most integral parts of what we have to offer at MCPHS. I think it's a differentiator. One of the things about being in healthcare is that you have to be able to talk to other professions, right? If you have a patient and you're an OT, and they have low vision, you need to know how to talk to an optometrist. You need to know how to talk to a pharmacist, a nurse, a PA. By being part of a healthcare university, you're going to be able to talk to other students and understand what they do in their profession. For example, we get together once a semester. You might learn about, have Narcan training, read a book, talk about professional education. So you're collaborating with other profession and students, and it's networking, and you get to meet other students. Maura, do you want to talk a little bit more about IPE?
Yeah, so as Tina mentioned, there are 3 IPE events that you will take throughout your stay or time at MCPHS in the OT program. So the first one is just laying down the foundations. That's when you know or you learn about other professions and what they can do. That one's really informative, not only for us as new baby OT students, but also to other students on the campus. So on the Manchester campus, it's a little bit smaller. So there's only 4 professions in total. So there's OT, PA, pharmacy, and nursing. Unfortunately, a lot of the PA students have no clue what OT is. I say this every single time because the first 2 IPE events, I had PA students always asking me what OT was and what we could do. And it's really beneficial for them to know because they're going to be referring our clients to us, to OT. So just perfecting your elevator pitch is what I would like to call it, or what I call it, and all of my friends do too, because that's something that you need to learn throughout your time, because unfortunately also a lot of people have no clue what OT is. They always confuse it with PT. The second one, it's also really cool. You're going to read a book, everyone else will, and you'll meet up and you'll just talk about that book. I'm not sure if it's the same as last year, so I won't touch too much upon that. Maybe the other first years can if they know anything. Then the last one for me, it was Narcan training, which was so informative because I had no clue what OTs could do with working with clients that have a substance misuse. So I learned what we can do and how we can help our clients, which was very nice. And you also get Narcan certified as well.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Colleen, and then Ilis or Sawyer, you can also jump in about your experience.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've been to one IPE event so far last semester, And I feel that our cohort as a whole was very prepared. We felt very comfortable going in there. I think we all had some nerves at our first IPE event. Like Maura said, a lot of what's the difference between OT and PT, but we were all ready to answer those questions. And I think it gave us a lot of confidence in explaining what we do and why our profession is so important. So it was a really great event. I really enjoyed meeting people from other programs. And now we're starting to read our book so that we can prepare for our second IPE event this semester.
Great. Alice or Sora, do you have anything to add about IPE?
Yeah, I'll go. I think I found it very educational. I think because a lot like other professions, you tend to learn about your own. You don't learn about other ones, and I think it's important to recognize that you're a healthcare provider, but you're also part of a healthcare team. And so learning, what PAs do and all the different stuff they can do, and what the pharmacy students do, and what how it sings as a poor setting, less like how OT sings as a poor setting, it really gives you a new perspective, and it helps you understand how you can help refer your clients to the places they need to go so they can, get the care they need.
I'll talk a little bit about this in a few minutes, but I think IP also is a testament to our close-knit communities on both campuses and developing that networking and supportive environment. We have a number of resources for our students to support them, and we have something called the Center of Academic Success and Enrichment, or CASE, where students might be struggling academically. There's on-site counselors as well as peer tutors. It can be, life can be hard. So if you need extra assistance academically, but we also have really important, we have counseling services that are free. And if there's mental health, obviously as an OT student, you know the importance of mental health and what that can be in a struggle. And sometimes as a student, you might have a lot going on and you might need a moment. And so our counseling services are there to help our students and support them for whatever they might be going through. We also have a student life. I know graduate students, you think student life, what? This is not undergrad. We have an SGA, we have professional organizations, which we'll get into a little bit for OT. So there's a lot of opportunities to get involved. On a Manchester campus, we have an outing club. And so they've gone kayaking. The SGA brings in an ice cream truck and a food truck. So there's a lot of opportunities for that community kind of feeling, to feel like you are not just going in and doing your work with your cohort and then leaving. There's a lot of opportunity. We also have our Office of Student Access and Accommodations, and that is for anyone who might have need an accommodation like a 504 and IP to support those. And then we have career services as well, because we do have a wide network of networking and alumni and employee resources for students, in addition to our amazing OT faculty and staff who are very well connected as well. So, the faculty are always accessible, and I love the interaction of the faculty, especially I'll speak specifically for OT. They're very engaging, very supportive of our students, open door policy. When I first started, I got a tour of the labs, and I loved that the students were in there having lunch and studying. And the faculty member giving me the tour was asking about how their weekend went and what they did, because they knew that information. And yes, you have a lot of OT schools to choose from, but I think that the difference, in addition to having that strong academic, is that connection you're going to develop with your faculty, that sense of community with your cohort and other, students in different programs, and the faculty wanting you to succeed. We had a alum recently who came on a Saturday to give, we had an event to give a tour and to speak to prospective students. And they were just so excited that they were recent graduates. They were so excited to come back and talk about their program. And the reason they were contacted is because they had been messaging with one of our faculty members about how they just gotten a job. So they were so that's the connection you're going to get. And I think that is something you cannot buy. And that is something that is really incredible about our program. Wouldn't you kind of agree, Professor Dowling?
Sorry. Yes, absolutely. And I think they've been noted to be quoted. I have family there and those professors. I have 5 moms and dads, and I mean, we're definitely there. My own children are adults now, but I have 40 sons and daughters right now. So it's definitely a feeling that we try to create a milieu of a supportive cohort and family.
Yeah, and we're not, I think any other students, Maura, would you kind of agree with that in your second year? So you've had a little bit more experience than the first year so far.
Yes, I totally agree. I 100% agree with the open door policy. But that year and a half that you're on the campus, you become so close with not only your classmates, but with those professors. So I totally agree. A lot of professors would be like, so how was your weekend? How are those plants that you were talking about? Or how was your trip that you took over vacation? So very, very welcoming.
Maura, are you involved in any of the professional organizations with OT?
Yes, so I was actually the treasurer of the soda club when I was on campus before I left for my level 2s. So do you want me to talk about that right now or
Yeah.
okay.
That's
SOTA is the Student Occupational Therapy Association. So we just kind of have fun events like that are on campus, and then we also do community outreach as well. So we do, or at least during my time, we did family in transition. So we would go to that place in Manchester, family in transition, and we would lead a group. So it would be little kids that would come, and even adults would come in and sit on the sessions or the groups and participate with their kids. We would have guest speakers come in, so any area of interest that my classmates would have. So NICU was a very popular one. We had a NICU speaker, also a neuro speaker, a pediatric panelist. So we had so many different peds OTs come in or chat via Zoom. And I know Ilis is the president of COTAD on the Manchester campus, so I can hand that over to her.
Yes.
Yeah, so COTAD stands for the Coalition of Occupational Therapy Advocates for the Bosley. And so we're mainly focused on education, but I mean, we do a lot of events outside. I know this semester we have 14 events planned in total. So we have a lot going on, but I mean, we have several volunteer opportunities with the National Food Kitchen. So we're going out there and we're collecting donations, both as a fundraiser, but then we're also helping with the pantry. We also have another opportunity where we're going for a fundraiser 5K and we get to help with that event. And then we have educational movie nights coming up. And I know we're also doing a sensory event where you get to explore all sorts of different sensory integrations and how OT does that. And we're going to have a whole bunch of stuff set up in the Peds Lab so you can try that yourself. So we have a lot of fun things planned for this semester.
Pauline or Sawyer, do you have anything to add about your clubs?
Yeah, I can go. So just like with the Manchester campus, we also have SOTA and COTAD in Worcester. I'm a member of both. We have had a lot of fun events. We actually have one coming up tomorrow. SOTA is putting on a Palentine's event. So it's just really great bonding also with your cohort, as well as Maura was saying, that community outreach piece.
Sawyer, you're involved as well, right?
Yeah, I'm in both as well. I was gonna say the same thing. They're just like a really good way to get to know your classmates. Last semester it was also a really good way for the first years to get to know the second years. We did an Alzheimer's walk that was really fun to get to know other classmates really early on in the semester.
Right. Perfect. It's also a great resume builder. So you know, from day one, your outcome is thinking about what your job placement looks like and building that resume. So you're networking, you're involved, you're giving back to the community, all the things that are really important to us as a community and a mission as of our institution. And then obviously your resume building as well. So wonderful. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our campuses. So the first campus that we have our occupational therapy program on is our Manchester campus, Manchester, New Hampshire. It's about an hour. It's really centrally located. It's an hour from Boston without traffic. But you're also you know, a short drive to the White Mountains. You're not that far from the coast. It is a small, tight-knit community campus. It's right in downtown Manchester, has New England charm. It has, you know, sports, theaters, concert venue, parks. It is really, a lot of the students there are very outdoorsy. I mentioned we have an outdoor club, so there's hiking and kayaking, skiing, snowboarding. And so that is one of the things. There's 4 programs at our Manchester campus, all accelerated graduate programs. So we're really, this is a great community. There's a nice feel. When you walk into the main area, it's called the Hub. There's a fireplace there. You'll see actually the OT suite and labs. A lot of OT students are right there. So it's really centrally located. So it's a really great, strong sense of community. They do a lot of outreach to our community, such as food drives and coats, and they raise money. They did Pie a Professor in the fall. So there's a lot of opportunity to build that sense of community. Right, not just in Manchester, but around the area as well. Next, we have Worcester. So Worcester is actually the second largest city in Massachusetts, and it's about a 50-minute drive to Boston. It is so centrally located. It's in a city. There's a lot of great places to eat, go out as a student. There's also a lot of healthcare right at your fingertips. So you have St. Vincent, you can literally see from the campus. UMass Memorial is close, you know, down the street. And so there's a lot of opportunity in Worcester. It's a hub of innovation right now. We have 9 programs on our Worcester campus. So our Worcester campus is bigger. We do have we do have community centers. So we have our optometry students have a vision center. We have for a wellness center for our PT. We have an acupuncture center. So we do a lot of making sure that we're giving back to our community and that's accessible. So you want to mention, does anyone want to talk about the Manchester campus and the Worcester campus? So Colleen, you could talk about the Worcester campus first.
Yeah, absolutely. So I did not grow up in Massachusetts, but I have lived here for the past couple of years. I lived right outside of Boston and then I moved here. And it's very fun to be in a city, like Tina was saying, you know, you're right in the center of things. There's lots of different activities to do. I actually live right across the street from the Worcester Museum of Art, which is really cool, and just all different places to eat and explore. So yeah, it's a really cool place to live.
Our Worcester campus also has the only difference between our Worcester and Manchester campuses, besides the location, the programs is identical, is that the Worcester campus does have housing. So if you're looking for housing, that is something that you definitely want to consider. Not that there isn't housing in Manchester. Sawyer, I know you live really close to the Manchester campus. How far is your walk?
Crosswalk.
Yeah.
Across the street.
Was it hard for you to find housing?
No, not at all. Yeah, even though there's not housing here, there's definitely housing available. And I don't know, like my experience was that there was quite a lot and like not all of it was super expensive. There was quite a range of different price departments.
Perfect. Wonderful. I'm going to talk about the program now, kind of what you've been waiting for. So it is a fall start. It's an accelerated 24-month program. So what does that mean? That means while you start in the fall, you're going to go fall, spring, summer, fall, spring, summer. There's no breaks in between. No, just kidding. You do get a break between each semester. In August, you actually get a couple weeks, and then you have the holiday break in December. So you do have some time in between the breaks. Your first 4 semesters, you're going to have You will be doing some field work, but your last 2 semesters, you are in field work full-time, and Mara can talk a little bit about that in a second. The way it works is the program is designed is that you will have your classes, your didactic, your first semester, and then you preparing for your community field work your second semester. And where you're going to be leading group sessions. And again, that mental health component. So we're really, I love kind of the transition from each semester to kind of builds upon each semester. Your level 2 field work is a lot more intensive, and you do not have to be, that's that last 2 semesters, you don't have to be on campus. There is an online course. That's really preparing you for professional life, and I'll have Professor Dowling talk about that in a second. But Maura, do you want to talk about your level 2 field work?
I would love to. So I'm in my first level 2 fieldwork right now. I am in a public school setting. So you're going to do 1 pediatric and 1 adult. It doesn't matter what order you do it. So you could have done adult first, which I know some of my classmates are, or you could do pediatrics first. Just kind of depends on what's available on our wish list and what your interests are and how they align. So I had an experience with the school setting, which I didn't know if I wanted to do it after that. So I was like, you know what, I'll try it with a level 2, and I'm absolutely loving it. I love the setting I'm in. I love my OTs that I'm with. I love their caseloads. They're all just sweet little cute kids. So I'm in preschool through 4th grade. I see a wide variety of diagnoses. So anywhere from developmental delays, intellectual disability, autism, a lot of trauma the kids have. I'm in Manchester, New Hampshire. So there's a few kids that have behaviors, which it's challenging to work with, but I have such amazing OTs where they help me through each session because I have most of their caseload right now. So around week 6, I'm in right now. It's really cool to be able to session plan and carry it out with the kids and not just observe. Like I'm actually the OT right now, which is so cool. Something that I definitely wanted to do. Yeah, I'm really sad that I'm already halfway through. It's flying by and I want it to slow down.
Great. Professor Dowling?
I'm just waiting for my cue.
I was like, oh, wait, what did we forget?
Nothing.
Colleen, do you want to talk a little bit? I know you had started your community level field work on the Worcester, and then I'll ask Sawyer after what her experience like in the Manchester community.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're in week 4 right now for our level 1 community mental health fieldwork. I'm actually technically in week 3, unfortunately, due to the snow, but we're doing fine. But so each week, my group and I go in and run a therapeutic group with about 7 individuals at a site called 7 Hills. Diagnoses vary, but primarily it is a day rehabilitation program for individuals with intellectual disabilities, and it's also primarily adults. So it's going really well. We just did a cookie decorating craft with them today for Valentine's Day, and they absolutely loved it. I have never seen bigger smiles. It was so amazing, and so we're really enjoying it.
Sawyer, how's your community field work? Where are you?
Kind of a similar situation. We're going into week 5, but we're at week 2 because of the weather. But it's been going really well. I'm at Merrimack Street, which is a residential facility for individuals with cognitive disabilities or things like that. And it's been going really well for the 2 sessions we had. We've only had 2 people show up. But we're doing a craft group and it's been really fun. We've had to adjust our program a little bit. Yeah, we're just still kind of getting to know them, and then we've missed a bunch of groups, but
That's okay.
it's been going really well. So
Alice, real quick, how about you?
Yeah, so I'm at Community Integrated School. Campuses is a community outreach program. So we actually have a lot of participants in mind. We had 14 the first class and 12 the second. So we have a good amount of group. We unfortunately are going into week 3, even though it's week 5 because of the weather. But I mean, I really enjoy it. I felt very, very prepared I know we have a group class in your first semester and it really prepares you for it. And so I really enjoy it. I'm really sad I haven't seen them in 2 weeks. So I'm hoping the snow holds out so I can go back next week. But I really enjoy it, and I love we've always seen progress with the participants, and it's great to see that within 2 sessions, they're already doing better and they're excited for the next one. So I'm really enjoying it.
Right. Professor Dowling, can you talk a little bit about the schedule, what they can expect? I get this question a lot.
The schedule in terms of
Of what each semester, yeah, so.
Sure. Yeah, that's a loaded question. There's a lot going on in that didactic experience, and that's kind of where I shine. I help, along with the other professors, guide you through that didactic curriculum. So in that first semester, you're going to take your mental health and wellness course. You may not be aware of this, but OT originally began in mental health. And we moved away from that for some time and towards a more medical model. But recently, we're moving back with a stronger focus on mental health and wellness. So, as a newer program, we're really able to incorporate and thread a lot of mental health in a much stronger way through the curriculum. You'll notice the emphasis on mental health and well-being as it's woven throughout, because that component of care does not leave. I'm a hand therapist, and I still do mental health care for people who have had traumatic injuries. So it's woven in everything we do. That second class is research and scholarship that you'll see. We feel strongly about evidence-based practice. You all know that I teach evidence-based practice right out of the gate for our first years. And for this reason, research is offered at every semester throughout your didactic portion. We want to give the students opportunities to learn, to incorporate research so that they are impactful in their level 2 fieldworks, regardless of the setting they're in. Outside of the classroom, we do a lot to incorporate these two components in community events such as the New Hampshire Occupational Therapy Association Conference. And we also have had students attend those conferences presenting their posters about mindfulness and meditation and the research that they embodied while doing that. So we definitely take this kind of classroom to clinic and bring it into the community and really learn how to educate the community about OT. So our second year students have presented these posters both for Manchester and Worcester. Worcester heads out to the MAOT conference, and they've both done a really great job. I've presented at both of these conferences, and I can attest to what our students are capable of doing. Maura, do you have any experience with that research and research courses you want to share?
Yeah, so I didn't present any of the posters, but I came from a psychology background in undergrad, so there was a lot of research done with that. So just having that experience as a health psych major, bringing that in to the OT courses definitely helped, but it definitely was not something that you need. The teachers there, the professors there to help you. They are amazing. I know for the Manchester campus, Dr. Robertson, she taught our first one, and it was an easy transition because research definitely was not my thing, even though psychology was my undergrad degree with a huge focus on that. But having her and just all of the insight that she brings and all the helpful tricks to help us remind or memorize things or remember them, it's definitely awesome. And then as it goes on, it kind of just builds off of that stuff each semester.
Absolutely. So you will see the mental health strings woven throughout. You'll see research woven throughout. You'll also notice this model of, as we've spoken about, clinic as a classroom, classroom as a clinic. So you're not only learning about this content through your books and the different material you'll learn from, you're going to be starting to practice and apply what you've learned. So I must say we have a really fantastic classroom space in both campuses. I've worked at both campuses, and they're designed to mirror OT clinics. So our adult labs are equipped with full kitchens, bathrooms. We have adaptive equipment galore. We have a pediatric lab in both campuses with lots of sensory integration equipment that you would typically see in sensory gyms with swings and toys and puzzles, working through the occupation of play that our children in our pediatric clinics try to engage in. We also incorporate lots of technology into our courses, such as virtual reality. We use the BINS, which you'll learn about shortly, Colleen. Classes are very engaging, though, I think, and very interactive overall. So the time is filled with small groups and large group activities, discussions. We play Kahoots. I do a Jeopardy game. We have guest lecturers. So it's kind of rare, I think, that the professor's always lecturing in front of you during the full duration, especially as we kind of build that first semester foundation. We move into some very kinetic activities. So your faculties are leaders in the community. Your faculty members are actively engaging in the community as leaders. They're practicing in OT. I myself am the representative for the state of New Hampshire with the AOTA. Dr. Robertson was the RA prior to me. So we are definitely taking on leadership and making sure that we're mindful of advocacy and making sure that we're getting the understanding of what OT is out there. So we're leading by example. We're all involved in research, every one of us. So our director is conducting research on the use of virtual reality in rehab and also researches the effects of mindfulness. Some of our faculty are working with optometrists to conduct research about vision. That's kind of where my expertise is. One of our faculty members is working with a local university to develop a suicide prevention program. And Dr. Sylvia is working with a local children's hospital to conduct research on pediatric chronic pain management. So all of our faculty are very immersed in research. We practice definitely what we teach you as being important. Our faculty are very involved in the national conferences. 5 of us presented at the conference in Kansas City back in 2023. 2 of us are going to the conference in 2024. We have several student representatives potentially going. And several of our faculty have also presented at the local state level. So we know the population we are serving because we are still out there attending meetings and doing lots of education. So community connections and fieldwork, as you can see, that's kind of important to us. If we're not out there, how do we know what our students need? So what also makes our program unique is our community connections. We have really great relationships with our surrounding communities. So this means our students have lots of opportunities and hands-on learning. We have sites in Manchester and in Worcester that we work with regularly, especially for those level 1 fieldwork rotations. So our professors are even going on fieldwork and making sure we're part of that process. And lastly, those community connections really help our students become prepared for level 2 fieldwork. Level 1 fieldwork rotations corresponds and focuses on the content you have in your semester so that we're building on this content and students are learning the skills in the classroom that will also reflect their abilities out in the community and in the clinics. We want you to have opportunities to practice everything you're going to be doing during your didactic experience so that you have those skills necessary to thrive. All right.
Okay. The next is our curriculum. If you want to talk a little bit about that.
Okay, I'll keep going. So
Keep going, it's still you.
give you some information about the curriculum. So we try to focus on each semester during your didactic proportions so that you know exactly how to be the best OT when you get out there. First semester is very mental health oriented, and then it's woven throughout the rest of the semesters. And again, we'll stay with that because that is an important construct we're looking at. Second semester, you're going to focus mainly on physical disabilities and rehabilitation. You're going to learn about adaptive equipment and assistive devices and how to conduct evaluations and plan interventions for individuals with sensory motor impairment and other concerns. Third semester pulls in that neuroscience and adult rehab. So we're going to focus on upper extremity injuries, more neuroscience with stroke and spinal cord injuries. And both professors who teach the adult rehab bring in some wonderful individuals who share their journey about their spinal cord injuries. So we're really trying to bring in lots of people who we can all learn from. That fourth semester is when you'll take your pediatric courses, and you'll also have some specialty courses such as vision and cognition and program development and entrepreneurship. And then the fifth and sixth semesters, these are your level 2 fieldwork rotations. I do want to point out that during your fieldwork, you will also be taking online courses. So you're going to be putting in some information in those online courses. And it's geared towards helping you transition out of the student role and into the professional role. So these courses will focus on organization, documentation, things you'll need to do to register for the boards, obtaining state licensure, building your resume, joining and supporting OT organizations, lots of things that we want you to think about to make that transition to the professional life smooth. You'll also notice with the level 1 and level 2 fieldworks, some information. So the purpose of level 1 fieldwork is to really introduce yourself to different practice settings and understand how that didactic information correlates with what you're seeing. And then we can talk about those things in the classroom. It might be a full 2-week experience or once or twice a week across the 15-week semester. And that depends on what the setting provisions require. So level 1 fieldwork rotations don't have a lot of hands-on work with the clients. That's really geared to level 2. But it's an opportunity to ask your leaders within the groups on fieldwork or your supervisor to understand better what's going on and take in all of that information. Then the level 2s are 12-week experiences. So here you're working full-time, following the schedule of your supervisor, and that may depend on what setting you're at. So you might be doing 4 10-hour days, 5 8-hour days. Your supervisor may have some weekend and evening hours. You'll follow the schedule of that supervisor. So you'll have one rotation that is in pediatrics, and the other 12-week rotation will be in the adult setting. That is what you'll find across the board with all the schools, and it's mandated by the ACOTE, the accrediting body, who helps us know what we need to do to provide proper level 2 experiences and pass your boards. So we have flexibility in terms of locations with your level 2 settings. Many students stay in New England, but some also travel off to locations that are further away. We just want to make sure you think about that you have support systems where you go and secure housing, because that'll make that ability to focus on your level 2 that much better. But we have students who go to California, Texas, Florida. Maybe they want to be closer to family or have warmer weather, or they're just hoping to end up experiencing what that place has to offer. All right, Maura, now you can share perhaps your experiences with level 1 and level 2.
Yes. So a year ago, I am where the other 3 girls are. I was in my community level 1 field work placement, which was at Liberty House in Manchester. So it was a home for veterans that had mental health disorders and also substance misuse as well. So we would do cooking groups with them each week, which was very fascinating. It was completely different than what the other groups were doing at the time. So some people did end up adding cooking because of how beneficial they saw that it was for our group. And then my second one was at Leahy Burlington. It was an acute care setting. So I was the only person on my campus that was there. So a lot of people were asking me how it was, and I was like, it's pretty fascinating. You learn a lot. It's very quick. Definitely not the setting for me, just not the pace that I wanted or the scenarios that I would see towards the end of my field work there. And then my second one or my first pediatric level one was my absolute favorite. It was in an outpatient clinic near my house in Haverhill. It was at Angel Care Kids. And it was just everything that I wanted with the job. I loved all the kids I established such great relationships with those kids once a week for 10 weeks. So 10 times I would see some of those kids, even less, but they would always remember my name and remember things that we did. So it was just really awesome about that. And same with my level two. I am there more often, obviously, so I have established great connections with those kids. Some kids that haven't really opened up to the OT there that they've opened up with me. So seeing that progress just within the last 6 weeks, 5 weeks, it's amazing. And my second level two, it's gonna be at Elliott in Lexington, Mass. It's a community mental health. Um, as you guys know, I love mental health psychology, as I said hundreds of times already, was my undergrad. So just being able to carry that over into OT, I'm very excited. And I'm very excited to see what I can do there as well.
That's great, Maura, to hear that excitement for mental health. My career I worked in mental health for a while, and it's wonderful to see that that's still something important to us. So regarding Maura and her experiences, students get to put in their top 5 choices for their rotations, and the program works to try to assign each of the students the site that they're interested in. We do the very best that we can. During those 12 weeks, by week 6, you pretty much have that same caseload and you're kind of taking over for your supervisor. They're there to support you. By week 10, you're very autonomous. The OT supervisor may not be right there next to you. Maybe the others would have someone next to them. At that point, you are really being an autonomous occupational therapist. So if you're interested in doing summer level 1 and 2s near your home, the potential and options are there. You're just going to work with that fieldwork coordinator. All right.
Right. Yeah, our field work coordinator is amazing, and she really does try to work with students, especially for those students that are out of state. She does like to say she's not a travel agent. So if you're looking to have a trip, to Paris, that probably not an option, but certainly if you're out of state and looking to go back home to complete those last field works, she will definitely work with you. And again, that's all about because we have those close relationships with our students and that tight-knit community. The fact that our cohorts are maxed at 45, you're going to get that individualized attention that you might not get in a larger program. So moving on. So you've heard about some of the experiences from our students and, the great time they're having, and Maura's, loving her out. It's about outcomes, right, at the end of the day. And we have a strong record in terms of our outcomes, not just our graduation rates, our board pass rates, employment rates, again, getting that job, having those connections, having the faculty know who you are, and being able to write those recommendations if you needed them, or give a reference because they know you as a person. They know the type of, your work ethic, and they're going to know those personalized things that maybe in a larger setting you might not be able to experience. I talked in the beginning of the evening about our alum. One of those alum, she was talking about the job she got because it was her first placement and she loved it and they loved her, and a job opening opened up and they offered her a job. That might not be the case in every scenario if there's no job openings, but in certain situations, but in that instance, she went back to where she had started. So it was full circle moment for her. But you are getting a job rather quickly upon graduation, and we are really proud of those statistics. Where do they normally go, Professor Down?
They have expanded the landscape of OT remarkably. Our grads are working in a lot of different locations. Students typically work in inpatient or outpatient hospital settings or clinics like you'd expect. Some are working in schools and home health, community-based programs, mental health. As the field of OT continues to grow and this landscape becomes wider, OTs find themselves getting involved in many different non-traditional areas of practice, such as driving rehabilitation, ergonomics, home and community redesign, outdoor and indoor hippotherapy, and developments of robotics and virtual reality. So a lot of unusual landscape and improvement in where we are seeing OTs practice.
Just featured in an article about how you're changing the landscape with 3D printing.
Yes, I was. We are dabbling in 3D printing, and certainly it's complementing my low vision practice.
Right.
So absolutely, the worlds are colliding.
Absolutely. So again, that state of the art experience, you're going to firsthand. She was featured in an article about how she's changing the landscape of OT with our 3D printing. She's very humble, so she's not going to talk about it. But then you have that solid foundation basics. If you're in a classroom like Maura and you have to figure out some adaptive, utensils or spoon or whatever the case may be. So you're going to get that solid foundation of really getting creative with your, skills and construction paper and the state of the art 3D printing and virtual reality. So it's going to run the gamut, which you will need. Now we'll talk about a little bit about those requirements for the program. We are rolling admissions. So that means that you can apply until our spots are filled. We submit our application through something called OTCAS. So if you are familiar when you're undergrad and you did the Common App, it's something very similar to that. It's a centralized application system. If anyone needs the link, I'd be happy to send that if you're in the process of still applying. So with your OTCAS application, you will need to complete that. If you have a resume, submit that. You would need a personal statement. And the personal statement is really talking about your commitment to OT. Why do you want to be an OT? What drew you to the OT? Do you have personal experience with an OT, with a family member or yourself? And that's really important. We like to see your transcripts. And it says 2 here. I need to change it on the slide. We require 3 letters of recommendation from either a professional or academic person. So that is required. OTCAS will submit it, but then I will be reaching out to you to look for that 3rd recommendation. Then your prerequisites, which we'll talk a little bit in more detail. We can accept up to 3 missing prerequisites and give you an admission decision with that. You do need a 3.0 overall GPA. We will look at a 2.9, but we do really want to see that 3.0 strong sciences as well. You do not need a GRE, and an interview is not required. And I will say that the prerequisites, when you're entering them into your OTCAS, it does take a little bit of time. I'm happy to do an unofficial course credit evaluation for you if you're in the process. That does take out some of the legwork for you. One other thing, volunteering and shadowing experience, we do recommend. It is not required. So that is something that I like to just share, that if you have that, great. It adds to your application and your resume for admission consideration. It is not required. For OTCAS, once you submit everything, they do have to verify it. It does take several weeks for that to happen. They verify that you're on track for graduation or have graduated. And then they'll send it back to us. During our busier times, it does take 3 to 4 weeks before you'll get an admission decision. On off, it's a little bit quicker. Right now, we're busy. We've got a lot of applications to review. Prerequisites. Again, you can have up to 3 missing prerequisites. I do like to see 1 anatomy and physiology with a lab completed though. So you have anatomy and physiology 1 and 2 in lab. Abnormal psychology, you need an adult or adolescent child or lifespan development course and a statistics course. Social sciences, I like to kind of talk about this for my psych majors. You usually get that covered, but my health sciences and sciences majors tends to be a little bit trickier. You do need 3 courses. So anything in psychology, sociology, history, political science, cultural science, studies, anthropology, women's studies, English, health sciences, public health, any of those, even like a pre-OT class, do not count towards your social science elective. They make you well-rounded and it's wonderful, but they don't count towards that prereq. So I like to always say that because sometimes people will be like, oh, I've got them. And then I'm like, absolutely, you don't. So that's really important just to kind of mention. And they do need to be completed by August 1st. If you're missing any prereqs, we do offer several online through our School of Professional Studies. So that's something that you can do and get those completed. Financial aid. We do offer financial aid. You do complete it through FAFSA. In order to be considered for that, we do offer merit scholarships for up to $8,000 a year. You do not apply for that. Candidates are automatically considered based on a GPA. If you are looking for financial aid, I would suggest you definitely reach out to Student Financial Services sooner rather than later. I'm happy to give you that contact information if you want to reach out to me. Once admitted, you will, you could reach out to them and get more information. Finally, I again am, Tina Hills. I'm the admission director and the admission counselor for OT. And so you can reach out to me. I think I've spoken to quite a few of you and definitely happy to answer any questions you might have. So one of the things I did want to, I know we're getting tight on time, so I'm just kind of looking, but I do want to address a couple of questions and have time for Q&A. One of the things I did want to ask Professor Dowling before we open it up to questions is the difference between a master's and a doctorate program with OT.
Sure, absolutely. Being that I'm on the representative assembly for AOTA, I can assure you all that getting the master's degree gets you equally prepared as having the doctoral degree. You're just getting out there quicker, treating clients, and generating revenue. There is no mandate moving to the doctoral degree that is coming down the pike. There was a 2026 goal, but that is not existing. The MSOT program is an excellent way to become an occupational therapist and get out there working as soon as possible within the confines of obviously an excellent program like ours. But the only difference right now is when you start practicing.
Right. And there's no difference in compensation.
There is no difference in compensation, no. Physical therapists went to a mandatory doctoral, and sometimes OT may kind of move down the same pike that PT does. We've made a decision not to do that at this time. We want several pathways of entrance to our profession. And keeping the doors open through the MSOT program allows first generation students to attend and gives that availability to become an OT to many people.
Great. Wonderful. One of the questions we get asked a lot, and any one of you can kind of chime in, is can you work during the program?
Yes, for sure. So throughout my didactics, I worked throughout all of it. So I worked at, or I still work there. At an events place at a local farm. So I'm an events manager there. And also during my level 2, I am working per diem. So when I feel I can, it's usually just a few days a week. I work as a rehab aide at Northeast Rehab. So it's very doable.
Perfect. Is anyone else working?
Yeah, so I can talk
Alice?
about this. I work as well, so I have 2 per diem jobs that I kind of bounce around. I do recommend per diem jobs because it gives you that flexibility, especially around like finals and midterm. You can kind of lower your hours a bit to study more. But I mean, I work anywhere from 20 to 32 hours a week on top of, being involved on campus and 2 club leadership positions and a full-time student. So it's definitely doable. You do have to manage your time, but it's definitely not a concern. You can definitely work and still be in the program full-time.
Right. Yeah, I think the way the schedule is designed does allow for that. You again have to manage your time. You are in your first semester, classes 5 days a week, but after your first semester, you are going to a 4-day schedule where you'll have classes in the morning, a lab in the afternoon, and then you'll have 1 day to either potentially do your community field work setting. have a part-time job, study groups. And that's similar for those, the second and third semester. Your fourth semester, it will flip and you'll have classes in the afternoon with a morning lab. And again, that one day to potentially either work or have your be doing your field work. So there is some flexibility. It was intentionally designed this way. So if students did need to work, that they had the opportunity to do so on a part-time basis. Your fifth and sixth, again, could get a little tricky. I know Professor Dowling had mentioned if your preceptor is doing 4 10-hours and you have to follow their schedule. If they're working 9 to 5, Friday, that's what you're doing, or the weekends. So you just have to kind of keep that in mind if you do have a part-time job. Professor Dowling, what are some of the faculty specialties? We get.
Sure. In terms of what we've done with our careers, let me tell you, the beauty about OT is you can do a lot. I now specialize in vision, but I spent the most of my career doing hand therapy. Started out in mental health and then moved to neuro. We have other professors specializing in pediatrics and chronic pain and technology. Some of the therapists are working with helping to consult with uh, projects and in improving universal design. So the specialties are certainly part of those of us who have been in the profession a very long time, but generalists get to just experience so many parts of OT, and you'll never get bored. There's always something new that you can do with your degree.
I love that. Right. Does anyone have any questions for myself, Professor Dowling, or the students that we'd be happy to answer while you have us? You can certainly put it in the chat or unmute yourself and ask away. I know in a setting, some people
So,
don't always
yeah,
do that.
someone asked about if the professors specialize in neuroscience and neurology. Absolutely.
Mhm.
We have professors that are specializing in that in Worcester neuropathic pain with kids, and in Manchester we have Dr. Robertson, who teaches the neurology and has also specialized in that. So we hire professors specifically to make sure we have a myriad of specialists who can speak to the clinical experience well in those topics that we teach.
Perfect. Documentation. The question was, what documentation is needed in your application for completed observation hours? You can upload it. You can, make a note of it. And a lot of times people will scan a PDF with their signed observation hours. And sometimes you can just fill it in that you're at a rehab place, you did 10 hours. So that is really all you need. The application deadline is June 1st. And then, what percentage of students commute from home versus live off campus or on campus? It's a great question. For Manchester, obviously, it's completely commuter. Everyone lives off campus, but for Worcester, it's a good mix. I feel like, and Colleen, you can kind of jump in here, but we have quite a few commuters, but we definitely have people who are living on campus.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say it's probably close to split down the middle.
Yep.
I personally live on campus. I'm about, I'd say, a 10-minute walk from the building, depending on if the crosswalks are being temperamental. But I have some of my class members also live in the same building as me. Some of them live in some of the other buildings on campus, but I would say it's probably about half and half of who's here and who's close by.
Does anyone have any other questions? I do want to be sensitive to everybody's time. We're a little bit over, but I'm really happy that we had so many great insight from our students, because at the end of the day, while I love hearing from Professor Dowling, it's really important to hear a student perspective and what their experience has been like so far. If you have any further questions about specifically for the students, you can email me. I'd be happy to share their contact information. They'd be happy to speak with you. We're really lucky to have such a great team of admission ambassadors for our OT program. And if you also have additional questions for myself or Professor Dowling, we'd be happy to, follow up with you. So please reach out to me and I'd be happy to put you in touch with them as well. I want to thank everybody for joining us this evening, and I hope that answered a lot of everyone's questions, gave you some insight about the program. The last thing I do want to mention is that we are hosting some visit days for Worcester, March 29th. We have a visit day from 9 to 1. I can certainly send you the link to join that. And then on April 5th, we have our Manchester campus visit day. It's a program where you're going to meet faculty, see our labs. You're going to be able to talk with students, learn more about the program. And so it's a really wonderful way for you to see the campus and really get more insight into our program. So if you haven't received an email about that, you will be, or reach out to me and I can give you more information. So thank you again for coming. I hope to talk to you soon. It was nice to see again so many names that I've spoken with before, so that's really exciting. So have a great night, everyone, and thank you again for joining us.